They have around 1/3 of all publishing in Lithuania, and those are, of course, the biggest publishing houses with mostly our members, but also not only members of publishing association. Usually those which are in the tens of publishing houses, but not from our association, they don't depend to other different organizations. And what is the good nice information for me, I am happy about it, that we have more and more books for children. We have 527 books per year last year, and you can see how it's changing, because from 2014 there are more and more books for children. And also from all books published per year, from all those like 3,479 books, around 2,000 books are written by Lithuanian authors. So this means that we are not translating so much books. And actually the Vilnius Book Fair shows that Lithuanian authors are very popular, and meetings with Lithuanian authors usually have the biggest audience in all events. Probably this is because of the language, probably because of the common history and understanding of the culture, but we can see that Lithuanian authors are more and more popular in Lithuania. So these are the biggest publishing houses, and I signed and read those which are not our members. So you can see that they are also pretty big in this context. And the biggest publishing house, Alma Litera, which is publishing mostly translated books. And Lithuanian writers are published mostly by Tito Alba and writers and the publishing house of Writers Union. So these are 10 publishing houses which make 1/3 of all publishing per year. So it means that other publishing houses are really pretty small, like 10 books to 30, but also we have publishing houses which are publishing only 2, 3, or 4 books per year. It depends so much from the situation. For example, this year, probably in all countries, not only in Lithuania, we can see that many publishing houses refuse to publish some books, and mainly refuse to make translations of some books. Or they are thinking about like probably next year will be better for them. So this year can be really very different like it was last year. And to present Lithuanian books, you can go to this site. It is the rights catalog. So we have their news of Lithuanian book market. We have information about the most popular writers, about languages to which they are already translated. You can find information about who is responsible for their rights, what are contacts. So this is the good way to get in contact with Lithuanian writers and Lithuanian publishing houses. So it's short information from me, and I think if you have questions, please ask and I will try to answer.
Perhaps we will see the answer at the end, and we will pass to the second presentation.
Okay, thank you. Bonjour, je m'appelle Rūta Nanartavičiutė. Today I will speak in English. I represent Lithuanian Culture Institute and I'm head of Projects and Programs Department. So I will share my slides. Do you see it? Okay. So I will briefly introduce the Lithuanian Culture Institute, and then I will continue to talk about the International Vilnius Book Fair. So the Lithuanian Culture Institute is an organization founded by the Lithuanian Ministry of Culture. And our main aim is to present Lithuanian culture and professional art abroad. We work from Vilnius. Our office is in Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania. And we work on a daily basis with our colleagues, culture attachés in 15 countries. In France, we work with Austė Zdančiūtė, who is based in Paris, and she is with us today. Our very important part of our many activities is literature promotion. We work with international publishers and publishing and literature professionals. We consult and inform them about Lithuanian literature, and we represent Lithuania in the international book fairs in London, Leipzig, and Bologna, and we also take part in Frankfurt Book Fair. We also organize and support events representing Lithuanian authors in the book fairs and also in literature festivals. And our work would be not possible without translators of Lithuanian literature. We work with them very closely, and we invite them to translators seminar every 2 years in Lithuania. In the picture you can see how it looks like. Every 2 years, many translators from all over the world gather in one place. And it's a true celebration of translation that happens there. And we also organize translation workshops and a residency for translators. The Institute also runs 2 programs for foreign publishers and other professionals. And my colleague Kotryna will tell you about translation grant program, and I will speak about study visits program a bit later. Although we mainly work abroad, in Lithuania we co-organize the International Vilnius Book Fair. As Rūta from the Publishers Association have mentioned, it's the biggest book fair in the Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. And I can truly say that it's one of the most loved cultural events in Lithuania. Almost every year it's being opened by the President of Lithuania, and other 2 organizers of the book fair together with the Institute are the Publishers Association and Litexpo. This year, Vilnius Book Fair was the biggest from all the years that it happened. And as Rūta mentioned, we had a record number of visitors, almost 73 visitors were at the book fair. And we had also 380 exhibitors with their stands. I have to say that the book fair is a really big celebration for the publishers, where they represent the newly published books and sell them in great numbers. But it's mostly appreciated for its cultural events program. And this year we had more than 600 events during 4 days. And I can say that the book fair is not a typical book fair. It reminds a huge literary festival, and it is the main place for Lithuanian and foreign authors to meet their readers. Our highlights of the cultural program are discussion club and forum, also the space for the national television and radio, the young readers books hall, and also music and cinema halls. And without a doubt, the central thing for the cultural program is authors, Lithuanian and also authors from abroad. And here you can see a few French authors that we had a great honor to host during the Vilnius Book Fair. To tell you more about the cultural program, so the events of the discussion club and forum are the platform for discussions on current issues and conversations on literature, art, business and science. And the main and most interesting events during the book fair are broadcasted by the national television and radio. One of the most vibrant places at the book fair is Young Readers Hall, where children and young adults can meet their favorite authors and artists, and also visit open library and workshop space, which offer creative workshops with artists from Lithuania and abroad. At the book fair, we have 2 special halls. The music hall, with all its activities, is the biggest music industry event in Lithuania. And the book cinema hall offers a program of movies based on books and also documentaries about authors and artists. So what's in it for you in the book fair? Vilnius Book Fair is the main event for publishers and other literature and publishing professionals to meet. And it's a place where specialists from abroad can meet Lithuanian publishers, editors, authors, and translators. And that's why Lithuanian Culture Institute and Publishers Association organizes study visits to the book fair. We usually offer, as an institute, we usually offer a program of approximately 4 days, which include professional meetings with Lithuanian publishers, editors, literary critics, and other specialists, and also a cultural program that gives a better sense about our country, cultural life, history, and just today's life in the country in general. I would like to mention that this year and a year before, we had a visit of publishers and colleagues from Normandy. I would like to say that today's event and the whole week of focus on Lithuanian literature is a beautiful continuation of our partnership. We are very grateful to all the colleagues in Normandy Livre, avec for making this happen. It's very important for us. And to end this presentation on Vilnius Book Fair, I would like to invite everyone to the book fair the next year. It is traditionally being held in the end of February. Of course, having in mind this pandemic situation now, we cannot still guarantee that it will be held in February. We are planning it now. The main topic will be image as text, so it will be a very visual experience. And if it's not going to happen in February, we are happy to invite you later. So thank you, and I will be happy to answer your questions after all the presentation. And I can give the floor to my colleague Kotryna to tell you about the translation grant program.
Bonjour. That's all I can say in French, so I will continue in English. So, hello, my name is Kotryna Pranckūnaitė. Together with Rūta, I work in the Lithuanian Culture Institute, and I will present you shortly our translation grant program. So we'll share the screen. I'm sorry. One moment. Yep. Yes, I'm sorry. Do you see everything? Yes, sorry for short moment of me missing where I put my slides. So, translation grant program. And yes. So, translation grant program was established in 2001 and is especially for encouraging publishers from all the world for promoting Lithuanian literature and being able to publish Lithuanian books. I'm sorry. Okay, this is, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, so encourages translations of Lithuanian literature into foreign languages and has been going in Lithuania since 2001. So over 20 years, we have supported over 370 Lithuanian literature works into 35 languages. Mainly it is fiction. If I will number, it would be around 1/3 of all the supported translations would be fiction. In second place, we have poetry, then some nonfiction, children and youth literature. At the moment, most popular language in our translation grant is German, but I do hope that it will change after this webinar. So the purpose of the program is to, as I already mentioned, to promote Lithuanian literature abroad. And our translation grant program is from 3 parts. So you can apply for the book translation grant or the very fresh and new for us illustrated book translation grant and a sample translation grant. So translation grant and illustrated book grant is for foreign publishers who already are prepared to publish the book. And the sample translation grant is open not only for publishers, but also for authors, translators themselves to apply for a part of a text to be translated that might be helpful in the future for the whole book publishing. Yes, the program deadlines are twice a year. It's the 1st of April and the 1st of October. So we just had the round of our applications on the 1st October. We are very glad that for now we don't see any change despite the pandemic situation. So maybe it's a good sign that publishing business is still capable and doing everything just like it was before this strange 2020 year. So what can you get covered in the translation grant program? So for the book translation grant you can cover up to 100% of the whole translation costs. And the illustrated book grant, it helps it, well, because of the illustrated books being sometimes very little in text. You have a possibility to get additional €1,000 grant for copyright license, illustrations, or any other publishing cost that you might experience. This is all the information that you would need to give us if you would like to present application for us. So we have a very easy application form that is in our website. You have to have a contract with the owner of the rights, so either the author or someone who owns the rights. You have to have a copy of the contract with a translator. We would need to see some translators' qualifications, but I must say that usually we do know the translators already that are working, so it is not always needed. So sometimes we already know the translators, so it can be very brief presentation of a translator or just a reminder. And a brief presentation of a publishing house and some short cover letter just to know why are you publishing this book. And for the illustrated book grant, you can see it's almost the same information we would be asking, only in the form you should also add information about budget, where and how you would like to, what would you do with the additional €1,000 for publishing costs. I have to say that all the applications are, we have a expert commission who is working, and we have 5 independent experts who decide which applications are getting grant and which are not. So it's not our institution or me and my colleagues who make a decision. So now I wanted just to show you, as I mentioned before, at the moment we don't have a lot of books published in French, so just wanted to show you a few books, and maybe it will inspire you to publish more. So this is, I think if you would ask someone to mention most of the important Lithuanian novels, so I think you would get quite often the answer that is Vilnius Poker by Ričardas Gavelis, which was translated in French in 2014. This book is also translated into English, Ukrainian, Macedonian, and Belarusian. And I'm sure it later or sooner it will be translated into many other languages, as it's one of the most important novels of our independence period almost. So the book was published, as I said, in 2014, and it was really well accepted by readers and critics. So this is just few words from the website of the publishing house, which unfortunately I'm sure I might translate, not translate, but to say, Monsieur, tu as l'ouverture, not sure very good my French is, but the book was really get a lot of good reviews and was noticed and was even put it in the list of the most important books that you need to read, together with Kafka, Orwell, Nabokov, and others you can see in this list. One of our bestsellers at the moment is the graphic novel for young adults, Haiku de Sibérie, or, well, yeah, Haiku de Sibérie if in French. It was published last year, and this book is really also published almost all around the world. We already have translations in Italian, English, German, Latvian, and it's also in plans to have Estonian, Ukrainian, and Russian publication. These authors were also noted in Angoulême Festival this year. Yes, we have If I'm not mistaken, well, at least I saw in the list of participants the publisher of this book. So maybe later we could ask for a few words of how this book is, how it is going on with this book, because the book was published just this year. But we are very happy about this translation, and me personally always thought that Valdas Papievis must be in French, just maybe because he lives in Paris, and I think his all writing is very French, and so they are very happy about this book, and maybe some words we will hear about it afterwards. And one more very bestseller we have at the moment is the À l'ombre des loups, also published by a big publishing house, and this book is widely translated. We already have translations in English, German, Estonian, Czech, Ukrainian, Polish, and if I'm not mistaken, we should soon have the Spanish and Turkish versions also. I'm just giving a brief representation of those books and not telling a lot about the books. I'm sure if you will be interested, you can get those books in your country. Just wanted to say and maybe to recommend to take a look at it, but also please know that we have a lot of other very good books and authors that are yet not translated to French. So this is just a glimpse of the success you might have if you decide to publish Lithuanian authors. Yes, a little bit back to our webpage. So in our webpage, lithuanianculture.lt, you can find a database of all the translations that were supported by our translation grant program. And it is not 100% of all the information that what books were published in other countries, Lithuanian books. But I think if we are talking about fiction, I think that our translation grant program covers around maybe 80% of all the books that are published in other countries. So it's quite good database to get a view and to see what we have and what translations we have. As you see, there is a quite good publication search, and you can choose the language, which I did for the photo, or the shander, or translator, or author, and then to get the idea how many books and in which languages and in which year was supported by our translation grant program. Rūta already mentioned in her presentation about our work and cooperation with translators. I just would like to repeat it a little bit. So we are very, we love our translators very much and try to be in a very good relationship with them, because I think that those active translators, they are the best ambassadors for our literature, and we put all our efforts to give them all the information we can so they could work this work very good. So as Rūta mentioned, we have a seminars for Lithuanian literature translators that we have like every 2 years, and those translators gather and we present them the newest information about our fiction, prose, non-fiction, and all the books. We also have a database of our translators in our website, Lithuanian Culture. It is always, we are refreshing it all the time, and it is a growing database, but it's also a possibility to see at least some faces, or to find a translator also if you are looking. We have residence and workshops, and mainly we are very much, we want to be and we try to be a help for a publisher if you decide to publish Lithuanian literature, but you don't know, you don't have a translator. So we are here. You can always contact us, and we would be very happy to help you to find the right translator for your publication. So I think that we have quite some contacts. Maybe we could grow some more translators into French, but it's not that it wouldn't be possible to translate a book because we don't have a translators. And we also closely work with the publishers and encourage them to publish Lithuanian literature. We go to the book fairs, we present our literature, and we also publish catalogs. at this moment when there is no book fairs, probably this is the one way to present our literature. And you can find our catalogs in our webpage, or we can also anytime send you a hard copy if you are interested, or a PDF version. Here you can see our catalog that was published last year, and I think within few weeks we will have a new catalog for the newest books for 2019 and 2020. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm at your service anytime if you have any questions about translation grant program. And also we would be happy to consult if you don't know what kind of a book you would like to publish. So we also try to help publishers in this way. And I'm sorry, yes, I couldn't see the the chat while I was in share screen, but I hope that wasn't very too quick and you got or heard at least something.
No, thank you, Kotryna. Now we will listen Rūta for the fourth presentation about the Poetry Festival of Druskininkai.
Yes, so it's me again, and I will tell a little about the festival Druskininkai Poetic Fall. Well, I need to share. So in Lithuania, as you can see, we have really many literature events, and as Rūta told about Vilnius Book Fair, it also is getting more the festival than a fair. But we have many international festival, which have their own audience and readers, and there are also not old festivals, but there are more and more new festivals. Like, for example, Vilnius, the Children's Island, which is a new festival held in Vilnius and Anykščiai, in another small town of Lithuania. What I find interesting and important, that many festivals in Lithuania we have not only in Vilnius, but in other Lithuanian towns. So it is the same with Druskininkai Poetic Fall, the festival which has events in Vilnius and in small Lithuanian south town Druskininkai. It is not the biggest festival in Lithuania. The biggest one, I think, is the festival Poetry Spring, a poetry festival which has events also not in Vilnius, but in small towns, but also in Lithuanian communities abroad. The festival is for 2 weeks, and they are organizing readings, meetings with poets everywhere, and it is a really huge poetry event. So the festival Druskininkai Poetic Fall is a little bit different, and I will try to tell you what is different about this festival. So first of all, the main thing, thing about Druskininkai Poetic Fall is that we try to make the yearly meeting for all poetry community in Lithuania. And all poets in Lithuania, they wait for the festival, and they tell that this festival is like a poetry Christmas for them. So this is an international annual literature festival. As I already told, it is organized in Druskininkai and in Vilnius in the first half of October. Usually it's organized in the first weekend of October, but sometimes it can be also second. It depends from the date, from other events, and from some local book fairs. Like this year we had the festival on the second weekend, just because the first weekend of October was the book fair in Klaipėda. And we didn't want to double events, because we have not so many literature events, so we wanted people can go there and there. And the festival is a laboratory festival aimed primarily at poets, critics, literature community, also publishers who can not only participate in events, but who have also a possibility to present their books, poetry books published in the year, and also sell. We have a small 4 hours book fair, poetry book fair, and publishers tell that this is a really good possibility to present their books to community, because the community is really this one which is in poetry, which knows about poetry, and are interested in all news about poetic world. So the main goal of the festival is to bring together this community, and that's why we have many events, not only with the main poets, which we are inviting to the main program, to the anthology, but also we have many Lithuanian poets readings in different places in the all Druskininkai town. Druskininkai Poetic Fall is a member of European poetry platform Versopolis. You can find more information on versopolis.com, and Versopolis already have 30 festivals in the platform. We started from 10 festivals, European festivals, and now we are already a huge platform with a big platform with many poets from almost all European countries, and it is supported by European Commission's Creative Europe program. Also, Druskininkai Poetic Fall has Europe for Festivals for Europe label 1920s, and we were shortlisted to London Book Fair Excellency Award in 2018. Probably it was just because Lithuania was the guest honor of the London Book Fair, but hopefully not only for this reason. So in the festival we have few, or probably more than few, traditional events, and this means that when we are making the program, we just have the program from the last year we need to fill with new things, and because traditions are really very important in the festival, and the festival always starts in the Wednesday, and the last day of the festival is Monday, and we start usually on Wednesday in Vilnius with presentation of the anthology of the festival. So this is the first event where already some guests who come from other countries participate in the event, but usually all guests are coming on Thursday, and then Thursday we move to Druskininkai. And Friday morning we start from the meetings with children in schools in Druskininkai town. We are going together with poets to read poetry, to talk to school people, and then we have a discussion, we have readings, we have young poets readings, which is also pretty important part of the festival, because young poets have a possibility to present how they are creating a poetry, how new are they, and just to show the new poetic vibes to other poetry writers and also readers. Festival has Latvian and Young Latvian prizes. These prizes are not main prizes for poetry in Lithuania, but I can tell they are probably main for poets themselves. It is because the prize is given by poets. In the commission, we have 6 poets, laureates from the previous year, so that's why it's important for every poet to be a Latvian, to get this Latvian or Young Latvian prize. We also have anonymous single poem competition in the festival, and the last event are held already in Vilnius again on Sunday. We are coming back on Sunday to Vilnius, and we have laureates evening and jazz music evening, and on Monday we have always different event, which usually is dedicated to some poets, to some poet Lithuanian. So we read a poetry, we are talking about it, discussing, and this event already is without our international guests, because international guests usually leave on Monday morning or even Sunday late evening after the main event in Vilnius. And every year we have around 120 poets, translators, literature critics, writers who are coming to the festival, publishers, and also last 3 years were very successful because of Versopolis platform, because many organizers of European literature festivals are coming, and many publishers also are coming. So this is important for us to be more visible in the European platform, and for European readers, writers, poets, and publishers. Every year we invite around 20 poets, international poets. And what is also important for us, that in more than 30 years of the festival, we already had guests probably from all countries in the world. And we always have poets from United States, from our neighbor countries, of course, what is important for us. And every year we have different topics of the festival. You can see their last ones. This year we were talking about readers of the poetry. So the theme is important because we have the discussion on this topic. And but of course the poetry doesn't need to fit to the topic of the year. So it's mostly for discuss about readers. Last year we were discussing about who or what writes my poetry. Also we were discussing about women and men in poetry, about sound and fury, because now many poets write this social poetry. So mostly these all themes are important, not only for us, but also for all the society. That's why we are choosing them. And we have translators from French, but as you can see, not so many poets from France we had in our festival, or from other countries, but who writes in French. So I think that we can expand this situation and have more poets from France, especially as we have really good translators who can translate French poetry into Lithuanian language. The festival is organized by organization Druskininkai Poetic Fall, and of course by poets themselves who are in the board, and we are discussing with them the theme of the next year. We are discussing poets whom to invite to the festival. We are discussing the program and all new program parts. And festival covers almost all expenditures. We cover accommodation, meal, traveling inside the country, translations, the publishing of anthology, but we don't cover poets travel to Lithuania and also the fee. So that's why we are looking for organization in poets country who can help us with these things we cannot cover, who can cover the travel or the fee for the poet. And usually these are different organizations, arts councils, embassies, literature organizations, and we are supported by Lithuanian Council for Culture, Ministry of Culture, Creative Europe, also Druskininkai Municipality, embassies in Lithuania, international cultural and literature centers, and other organizations which can help us with inviting and taking poets to Druskininkai. So thank you for your attention, and you are all very welcome to Druskininkai Poetic Fall next year. As next year, let's hope in October we will have a possibility to meet. And actually, I am more than happy that this year we still had a chance to have the physical festival. We had no guests from abroad, but we had video calls from them, and we could listen to poetry in different language this year too. So thank you, and I am waiting for your questions and will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Rūta. Now it's open for questions in English or in French, as you want. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's up to you, Emmanuel.
I had just a question for Rūta about the French writers translated in Lithuanian by publishers. Which part, and is it only well-known writers or second part of literature, French literature? Which type of literature? Poetry, fiction, and
in Lithuanian, we have 3% French literature translated. So it's not actually a huge percent, but more literature is translating only from German language and Russian language. So French is the third language, and mostly we are translating fiction. But poetry, actually, with poetry, we have a problem because mostly publishing houses are afraid to publish books which are like for one writer. Usually, poetry is translating for anthologies. So for Druskininkai Poetic Fall anthology, and also for a Poetry Spring anthology. We have 2 festivals which have their own anthologies. So this is the way how we can know more about poetry. So mostly publishing houses are working with fiction books from French.
Okay.
I have a question from Eric Butel. Is there in Lithuania a space for the diffusion of literature work in an audio mode? or at least to talk about literature life in radio or television or something like that?
Audiobooks is a very new thing for Lithuanian, and actually this year we can tell that the year was very hard for us, but also it was a year of some new possibilities, because publishing houses understood that audiobooks is a new black. It is our future, and they started to think more about audiobooks, and now we are making a survey where one of the question is how many books are you will you publish audio way this year. So I know that there are around 6 or 7 which already started with audiobooks. And yes, we have a few programs, radio programs, where mostly poetry. You can listen to poetry on radio, but also I know that there is a new radio show which will be for fiction reading. So there, but it's not like it's a big part of the radio. We have only few times for radio shows for literature, I mean.
I'm sorry, perhaps I could add also to this question a little bit. As I see that Eric, I don't know you personally, but as I understand, you work in Estonia. So actually we are together with Marielle Vituro, so the translator from Lithuanian to French. During the period of quarantine, we started a podcast about translation in French. So we started with 3 episodes, and 2 are already presented during this week, about the translations of Lithuanian poetry and a book by Valdas Papievis. And actually we have been discussing with Marielle a bit to make this podcast a bit broader. Actually, she is very interested to do also other episodes with Latvian and Estonian literature, as she has been, covering news from all the 3 Baltic countries. So I guess that would be like very interesting, ground to really develop, and of course, I mean, I initiated this podcast, but as we discussed, we really would like to do it also like Baltic, not only Lithuanian, but really try to englobe a little bit what is going on in the literature and poetry in the 3 Baltic countries.
I have another question from Eric. Do you know if there has been some tests managed together by the 3 Baltic countries to arrive in the French literature market, like a presence during Livre Paris, or maybe presence in some book libraries or booksellers?
I guess this also is a question a little bit for me. As long as I'm working here as an attaché, we haven't really done any movements really together, all like three countries to enter. Nonetheless, I know a few initiatives that has been tried a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago or something like that, to try to present Lithuanian poetry in Marché de la Poésie in Paris. And that has been, actually, this idea has been dropped because of lack of funds, because as I remember it, like the price that Marché de la Poésie suggested was at that time was too high for our countries. but here yet again, like as we are like here now, as we are, for example, really collaborating with, for example, with Normandie Livre et lecture. So I mean, I would be also very interested, you know, to think about more like ways how we could really try to unite our forces to enter to one of these like more events, more important events that has more visibility, all of us three together.
A small question more for Valérie. Can you talk, or maybe Pierre will be able to talk about it. Do you know if there is some bookstore in Normandy who are working directly on the Lithuanian literature or Baltic literature?
Yes, we have a few book sellers which are working this literature, because in Normandy we have the luck to have the festival Les Boréales. So we have an audience which is aware about this literature. And we have recorded a video this week about a Normand bookseller. It's Au Brouillon Culture, and the French bookseller was talking about the book Lituanian. She had on his bookseller, but we have another big bookseller in Normandy, like The Passage à Alençon. And so I maybe will pass to Pierre Langanet, who is a publisher and a bookseller too, about this question.
So yes, we have some translated books. Of course, we follow the festival Les Boréales, and but we could do more, I would say. So it means that we can present and this Lithuanian literature, but we have to work together with other organizations to develop this presentation of authors. And today it is very complicated to say what we can do or what we could do in the future due to the situation. But of course, we present these books, these translated books, and we try to promote them. That's what I can say today.
Another question. Do you have troubles with remuneration or turnover for translators from French to Lithuanian?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, do you have troubles? Well, maybe this question is more for a publisher about the remuneration for the translators, but there is also a question: do you have enough turnover? Do you have enough new translators, sorry, who are coming in the market to still translate from French to Lithuanian? Maybe
we have translators, and we have really good translators from French. And regarding publishers, they mostly think about when they choose books, of course they think about who will read them and also who will buy them, those books. So it is the important thing for them, and I think that's probably also why we have not so many translations, not only from French but other languages too. As I told already, Lithuanian authors are getting more and more popular in Lithuania, and I'm not sure about the reason why, but this is these are new ways for publish Lithuanian authors. But we have translators, and I think that publishers usually they find a way for also to get some finances to publish books. And our Council for Culture, they also can finance not only Lithuanian authors but also translations into Lithuanian language if they find that the book is that it's a good book, good author, that it's a quality literature. So in this way we can get, publisher can get funds from Council for Culture.
Another question? Perhaps, Emmanuel, you could speak to us about the last book of Valdas Papievis. If you want. Yeah.
Well, concerning Valdas Papievis, Haiti, the title in Lithuanian, it was, I'm very pleased to have published this fiction, this novel, because Valdas Papievis is a very good writer in the language, in the style, and so on. And it was really a pleasure to work with the translator and with the author and with the institute, because it was very quick concerning all the elements concerning the translation and the help. Well, we had articles on in Matricule des Anges and in Le Monde, the Word. That it was quite difficult because it was just after the Vilnius Book Fair, which was a very interesting experience and a very good one, just before the pandemic. And after we had about 15 lectures and fairs canceled. And at the moment, Valdas is invited in the Nordic Days in November. But as you know, at the moment, we're waiting for news from our president tonight. So we don't know if the Nordic Days could happen this year. So it's very complicated concerning the commercialization of the book, very from the March to by now. We have lectures in Couville on the Normandy coast in the summer, and in a castle also, but it's quite complicated. And I just want to add that concerning also the organization and the booksellers about the focus on Lithuanian literature. We could have, I think, a focus if we have many translations, if more publishers, foreign publishers, will translate poetry, fiction, and so on. And then we could have a very good impact with some of the organizations, booksellers or Normandie Livre Lecture and so on, and in other departments of France. The more we publish in French, I think the best it is, you know, because for literature, Lithuanian literature. So.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, I guess we will have some new projects in the future. But now, as you remember us, it's very, very hard with the coronavirus crisis. Yes.
And maybe I would like to also add up to what Emmanuel just said, that actually I also do agree that it is very important, like, for example, this example that we are having right now with the Normandie Livre Lecture, actually, this basically I could even name it that it's a very nice collaboration during these 2 years already, and which it really leads to the fact that we do have Lithuanian literature now published in French, and we do actually have this movement around the events about Lithuanian literature. We do have occasions to speak about it now, and which is extremely important. And also by coming back a little bit to the question that Monsieur Eric asked as well, regarding this, like, coordinated efforts by Lithuania or by all the Baltic states, really to enter French market with our creation, with our literature. Actually, these small initiatives is super important. And as again, as during these couple of years, we already, like, I mean, from what is Lithuanian literature, there has really been just a few, you know, and now as it like really becomes a little bit, you know, like a progression, I would say, you know, like these books that are being published. Like this year we had 2 books, and then maybe next year we're gonna have 4 books, you know. So with all these small actions, I'm sure that we're gonna, you know, eventually be able to suggest, you know, some more important things, like also to Salon du Livre de Paris, for example, that of course hasn't been, you know, never discovered the literature from the Baltic states. Like, for example, we could even maybe talk about, like, focus on Baltic literature, and also like my colleagues from Lithuanian Cultural Institute, Rūta, and another Rūta from the Writers Union. I mean, you have been talking here today about these very international events we have in Lithuania, and that you are working really closely with our Baltic colleagues. So I mean, definitely, I guess we should use that. I mean, what are your thoughts, maybe Rūta from the institute, or like could you maybe tell your thoughts? What would you think, and what is the significance maybe about our initiative with Normandy now here to the broader presentation of Lithuanian literature?
Thank you, Auste. I couldn't agree more to what has been said already, and I'm very thankful to Emmanuel as well for the visit, for your work in publishing Lithuanian authors. We hope that more is coming soon. I can share also our experience with the other Baltic countries in the English-speaking market, which is very hard to enter for translated literature. And I have to say that we worked for many years to be market focused at the London Book Fair. And only on this occasion we had a chance to work more closely and to invest more funds as well, to have more translations into English. It was a very interesting journey with the Latvians and Estonians, as we are a bit the same, but we are different. And we are looked into as a Baltic region often. And this works for us sometimes. Our experience with English market was quite good, I think. We have more than ever translations into English at the moment. And it was a bit like translations into French before. We had only a few books. And then when we started to work together to present Baltic countries in London, more and more translations came. So I think if we have an idea or a wish to be presented as the more in focus in Paris Book Fair, let's say, or in other bigger events as well, I think we have to work step by step, and that's why we are always looking into these professional meetings between, in this case, French publishers, French literature specialists with professionals in Lithuania. And we really think that it's the best start to have visits to Lithuania, so you could get better feeling on our country and our literature, and see the bigger picture in Lithuania. Of course, now situation is, as we know, a bit complicated, but we already started to organize more and more of these kind of meetings, virtual meetings. It's a bit hard for everyone, but it works, still it works, and it's a chance to stay in contact. So I think that it's really important to continue to talk now and to introduce Lithuanian literature and our professionals, to get everyone in contact. And in this way we can hope for more translations. And perhaps bigger presentation is more important and more possible when we have more translations already. We cannot organize something very big without translated literature. So now is the perfect time to work on this.
I will ask a question to Lara, who is a writer and a publisher from Floem Publishing. What are your thoughts about the opportunity to go to the poetry festival of Druskininkai? Do you think it will be interesting for your for you as a writer or as a publisher?
I'm not sure Lara is really wants to speak in English.
Also, I just checked in the chat. There is a question she has asked, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe this, maybe this could be a question for Rūta. Are you going to translate it, or?
Yeah, you can. I can do it if you need. Lara is wondering if there is already some translation from contemporary poeters in Lithuania, French contemporary poeters in Lithuania. Do you have already translation or not at all?
As I told, not so many, because we have no books, but we have French poetry in the anthologies, festivals anthologies. And in anthologies, we are publishing only contemporary poets, because we are inviting them to the festivals, so they need to be known, and they need right now, because we are asking for absolutely new poetry to translate into Lithuanian language. So this is the only way for Lithuanian audience to get known, but we have no separate books, because in Lithuania we have only 3 publishing houses which are working with poetry, which are publishing poetry books, and mostly these books are by Lithuanian poets. I mean separate books, not anthologies, but books for poets. And sometimes they are also publishing anthologies of some countries, like we have now a new anthology for American poetry. There are 8 great American poets, contemporary poets. So the anthology could be a possibility to have the like French poetry, contemporary poetry anthology, but I think that it would be pretty hard to get the funds for a book like this, except if there would be some support also from the French side to publish such a book, but we have no separate books for one author.
Another question, perhaps? You can express yourself in the chat if you don't want to speak English. Don't be shy. No? Okay. What can we say? What else? No, I think it's a real opportunity for the Norman publisher to have some Lituanian or Estonian writers in their backlist. I still believe it's a way to stand out from the crown of the publisher, to have to mark a difference in the French market. Yes. And I know that the publishers that are gone to the Vilnius book fair this year are convinced too about this idea. So I hope we will have some another translation perhaps in 2021 or 2022. we don't know yet, but yes, it's on the yes.
So even if we have this strange situation, and it will start again probably from tomorrow on, but for Motus, for Edition Motus, so we really increase the number of titles per year. So next year we will have 10 books, and we have bought some rights from an Italian publisher. So in 2022, we will have about 15 books, and we will increase the part of rights we buy abroad. So I had some contacts after the Vilnius fair, and I will probably start again this contact to buy the rights of one books. It was more or less stopped due to the crisis and the situation, but now we have we see what we can do in the future, and for 2022 probably we can make it concrete, and it means that beginning of next year I will start the discussion for the title I would like to buy for Motus. Of course, it depends about a lot of things, but I am convinced that we have a good opportunity here to have some new books, new ideas, new drawings, and new illustrations, and so on. So for Motus, I will probably do that beginning of 21, so beginning of next year.
Thank you, Pierre. And I would like to mention that now we are working on a new catalog of the best children's and young adults books for 2 recent years, 19 and 2020. So in the catalog, there will be more books than you could see when you were visiting Vilnius Book Fair. So we are happy to share it with you if it would be helpful for you in the process of looking to that one title. So we can send it to you.
Yes, with pleasure. Yes.
And we have another question.
Yeah, I have a question from Lara. If the Fluence publisher wants to come to the Autumn Poetic Autumn in Druskininkai, sorry, what are the procedures she should do?
It's not a problem at all. It's the best way. Just please write me a letter, and you can write me in English or in French. I can understand. So I will write you all the things what you need to know, but actually there are not so many. So it's just one thing that we don't know yet the topic of the. We just had the festival, so we even didn't have a meeting yet for the next year. So, but we know already dates, and it's the only thing probably you need to know about the festival for now. And you are welcome. And we, as I told already, we are covering many different things except the travel to Lithuania, which is on your side.
Maybe I can also add that sometimes we also partner as an institute with the festival, and we can organize a professional visit if there is a publisher from abroad and wants to visit the festival. and look more into Lithuanian poetry. So we are happy to invite you to visit this program. This could be both ways, so we can collaborate with the festival and you as well.
Okay, shall we conclude? Rūta, what do you think?
Yes, perhaps, yes.
Yes. Thank you all for your participation. And remember that all the video and the podcast of this special week are on our website. And it was a pleasure to manage this webinar with the Lithuanian Culture Institute. And we hope we will have the pleasure to work together again to go further on this discovery of the Lithuanian literature. And feel free to send us an email if you have some question or if you are thinking to something after this webinar. Voilà.
Thank you, Valerie, for all the organization, to you and to your colleagues. And thank you from our side to everyone who took part.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.